Hey Byte Club, what is going on? Welcome back once again to another edition of the Square Roundtable, the place where we break down one specific topic about the world of professional wrestling and or WWE. If you have any questions or suggestions for a topic for a future video, make sure to drop that in the comments section. So my name is Juan Velas. With me is Mr. McNulty. You doing good, bro?
Doing good.
And back on the Square Roundtable from WWE Town Nation, it is Mr. Hayden Fox. Welcome back, man.
Thank you for having me on. It's great.
Yeah, the conversation is going to continue. Now, in the previous one where we had Mr. Fox, which you can also check it out in the channel, we talked about what makes a wrestling theme song great. Now, the topic here is going to be a little bit more about something that maybe is not done all that much nowadays, and that's the topic of, should WWE use more wrestling managers? Back in the day, it seems like everybody had a manager, right? Like, Paulie Dangerously had the Dangerous Alliance. Like, there was always something happening. Maybe wrestlers managing wrestlers, whether it be male, female. There was always that presence at ringside that contributed to something. Even sometimes, like, the wrestler would never talk, kind of like when Brock Lesnar came up with Paul Heyman. Originally, in the first iteration, we had that type of thing. The first question is, and kicking off with Mr. McNulty for this one, do you like the presence of wrestling managers?
Yeah, I definitely do. There's some wrestlers out there that, you hear the term like a 5-tool player or whatever, they have all the tools. Well, there's a wrestler who really has maybe 3 out of the 4 out of the 5. And all it takes is a manager to really bring them to the top. So, I mean, right now you can say Paul Heyman and Lana seem to be the only 2 current managers in WWE right now. And there's definitely some wrestlers who probably could, really benefit from having a manager.
What about you, Hayden? Do you like managers? Somebody like Lana, for example, that Ryan just mentioned, that when Rusev came up, she was really the voice, and dare I say, the main focus of that duo.
I do actually like the presence of managers. Not only does it sort of give a different presence to the superstars that the managers are managing, if you get me, but It also it just feels different. It gives something unique instead of having because the ratio at the moment would be 20 to 20 superstars and only 2 of them have managers, for example. It's really, really, really low. But I do like having the presence of managers. It's something unique and something we don't see often nowadays. Whereas, in the past, we've seen many managers with almost every superstar in the 80s used to have a manager.
A good example recently, and some people forget, Xavier Woods, even though he's part of the WWE Tag Team Champions currently or recently, he does have that presence that you have action happening in the ring, but there's always something happening out of the ring that contributes to that action, that gives you some kind of entertainment value. Now, the next question here is, why is that manager effective? Why is it important that, with the old backstage promos, you were talking, Hayden, here, where back in the day, it was a normal thing. Primarily, there was always that green screen promo that was happening backstage where the wrestler would be behind the manager as the manager explained why the next match was important or why they were going to win. Why is that important?
Go ahead.
Oh, thanks. It kind of it gave a build up to each match as well. If the manager was cutting a promo, it built it up even more. It also evolved the character more that they was with, and then built up the match more. And then the manager's having a presence at ringside. It just shows the stages that a manager does with a superstar, and it shows that the only 2 or 3 that happens nowadays is Xavier Woods and Paul Heyman, whereas in the past we had everyone from Bobby Heenan to Paulie Dangerously. It was crazy back in the day, but back then. It used to be such a huge presence for the build up to feuds, to matches, and things like that. Because, like, say Paulie Dangerously was managing two superstars, them two superstars could end up feuding, and the manager would be like in between. So they'd have a big presence in the feuds as well as backstage segments and things. Whereas now it doesn't happen as often, so that doesn't really happen anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think managers they definitely bring a presence and a lot of value to, especially, you say Paul Heyman with Brock Lesnar, he does a lot of the talking. And most of the time you see a manager really works best for a heel character because, the baby faces kind of want to stand on their own. I mean, there's definitely been babyface managers in the past, but it's a lot more rare.
Like Jimmy Hart.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not impossible, but it seems to generally work better for a heel because, they have the manager doing these things for them. Also, a manager seems to usually get involved in a match and give someone an unfair advantage at certain times. So yeah, I mean, most of the time it works good as a heel thing, but yeah, sometimes a babyface wrestler just might need someone to talk for them, and that's kind of their one weakness that a manager can kind of help them shine at.
Can the manager be the main focus? And we talked about Lana right at the beginning, right? Where when Rusev came up, she was the main focus. It was almost like she was the one feuding with people, but it was Rusev performing the action, but the storyline, the focus was all on her. Is that something you guys like, that it's a different perspective, that you're wrestling out there, but I'm the main focus? Like, I'm the reason people even care about the storyline.
To be honest, not really, because the storyline needs to evolve inside the ring and not just from the manager. Yeah, it's good that the manager has a presence in the storyline, but it shouldn't be all about the manager. It should be also about what's happening inside that ring between the superstars.
I kind of like when they change it up every once in a while. Obviously not an every time thing, but we saw that a lot too with when CM Punk was feuding with Paul Heyman. He kind of had Ryback and Curtis Axel kind of fighting for him, but his feud was really against Heyman. So I thought that was an interesting take on it. And like you said about Lana, I wish we saw a little bit more of that. When Lana was really the one controlling Rusev and had all the power. We don't really see that now today. And I think, like, her as a manager, it's kind of suffered for that because the whole Dolph Ziggler storyline and all that business really kind of ruined her character as a whole. And their kind of duo worked a lot better leading into WrestleMania 31, I want to say.
Yeah, the match with John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a really good one. And the issue here is that it seems to be, we have a Bobby Heenan and Paulie Dangerously, people that have, this credential where you say, man, whoever it is they manage or advocate for is going to be a success. And you guys know where I'm going here with the case that is Paul Heyman. Let's really shove the Brock Lesnar situation to the side and focus on guys like Heidenreich, Cesaro, and Curtis Axel. Three guys that you would say, man, you have Paul Heyman by your side. It just didn't work, even for a guy like Cesaro, who people have always wanted to see main event in some way, shape, or form. Why do you think it is that sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work with a really effective manager?
Sometimes there's just not that chemistry that you would expect. In the case of Curtis Axel, it might be, if the wrestler isn't carrying their end in some way. I think Curtis Axel's a fine wrestler, but it just didn't seem like it really clicked with the two of them. And I'd say the same thing with Cesaro. And Cesaro was very, I feel like that also just didn't get enough time to really develop. So that was kind of cut short very early. But there needs to be that chemistry.
I think, yeah, as you said, chemistry is a huge importance in it. But I think with managers, like Paul Heyman, he's suited to, like, a specific person or genre or category. Like, Brock Lesnar is perfect with Paul Heyman because Brock Lesnar doesn't like to speak much. He does his actions in the ring. Paul Heyman does all the speaking. Whereas people like Curtis Axel, they can speak for themselves. And also chemistry is a huge part. Look at Lana and Rusev. They're a real life couple, so they always have the chemistry with it. So chemistry is also a huge part.
That's really true. So now let's, as we sort of wind it down, we are currently in the new era. We have a lot of new guys coming up from NXT, or people getting their characters changed. Guys like Cody Rhodes who are no longer in the company. How is it that this era could maybe benefit from managers? I'm just going to propose this idea. Let me know what you guys think. That we have a lot of guys from the Attitude Era, and dare I even say ruthless aggression era, I should say, that maybe could, become a tutor or like a mentor for these new people. Do you think that that's something that could work, or that maybe managers just don't end up being, part of this new era?
I think with the new era, we look at the roster and we say this might be one of the most talented rosters we've ever had if we're speaking mostly about in-ring work. But I think there's a lot of guys who could benefit from having someone talking for them. So just right out of the gate for who, maybe I think could really benefit from having a manager, I look at a guy like Apollo Crews. I mean, this guy has got, he's got so much athletic ability, and he's got the look and everything, but something with the personality is missing. So whether it's a mentor or a manager to talk for him, that is something I feel like would help him greatly.
I mean, Apollo Crews is basically like Brock Lesnar. He is very good in the ring. He does his business in the ring, but he needs help with mic work or someone to speak for him. So as you said, Apollo Crews with a manager could elevate him even more. I think it's what Apollo Crews needs.
And yeah, I think that's overall the best thing, because when you look at a lot of the guys that are coming up nowadays, even, with the Cruiserweight tournament, everything that WWE is doing, a lot of people's concerns are more so about like, oh, these guys are great wrestlers, but their character's not there. And that's maybe where the manager could really fill in that gap. Like, maybe you're just an outstanding wrestler. Let me be the character. Let me do the outrageous stuff so that people care about you or despise you or whatever it is in some sort of way that a manager can really be effective in wrestling today. So as we wind down, any closing thoughts about whether WWE should use more managers nowadays?
Yeah, basically that managers definitely help for getting heat for certain wrestlers. I mean, you can look at like China with Triple H, the fact that a woman was kind of escorting him around. They can also help, shine through on your mic skills and stuff like that and develop character. I mean, if you want to look at how important a character is and how beneficial it is, you can look at Enzo Amore. The guy barely wrestles, but he has so much character. He gets a bigger reaction than some of the best wrestlers on the roster. So having that manager to help develop that character is just key.
Yeah, I think, like you said, look at Lana and Rusev. I keep coming up with these because they are the perfect example. The manager kind of elevates the character. It makes it new. And I think there should be more managers in WWE right now. But I don't want there to be too many so you get too used to it. I think there just needs to be a nice amount of them, but not too many.
Yeah, there definitely is a threshold. I agree.
Yeah, you don't want it to become faction warfare. So it's something like, man, like what? Like how many do you have in there, right? So those listening, those watching, do you believe that the WWE should integrate wrestling managers in some sort of way? Make sure to drop a comment. Check out the podcast available every single Tuesday night. Hayden, if people want to check you out, where can they do so, man?
Do it on Twitter. I'm always on Twitter. I'm sure you guys get more to see my tweets at WWE Town Nation. And on my YouTube channel, WWE Town Nation, unbelievably. Wow, shock, horror.
Yeah, man.
But
I mean, it's been on screen the whole time, so people don't figure it out. I mean, it's right there. It's right to the side of Ryan, man. Not too far off. So, thank you, man, for hanging out with us. And we will be back with a lot more right here on Byte That. And on screen, there are some things that if you want to hear more about us, check out those discussion videos. They've been super fun, and you can also suggest a way, maybe part 2 for some of those. Maybe you like the conversation and you want it to be expanded. Let your voice be heard and comment on it.